Hey everyone, so the second episode of Riverdale aired last week, and the third one is due to be released shortly. And if you guys haven't started watching this TV show, I do recommend go and start watching it, because you definitely are going to have an opinion on it. There's just so much stuff happening and so many different things with this series that you will have an opinion, and I would love to hear it. So the first thing that I want to mention, actually just, let's get it right out there, because I feel like no one is talking about this, but Cheryl and Jason, the scene where they're both in Pops and, they have a milkshake. I don't know, I've seen so much from the first episode and in the second episode take place. I feel like there's a bit of an incest vibe. I just have to get it out there. It creeps me out. I feel like this twin thing is just going way too far, and I'm not okay at all. Also, Archie knows where Miss Grundy lives. Again, how many times did they actually meet? Because he even knows where she lives. I know he's from a small town, but let's be honest. Do you actually know where your teacher lives and feel comfortable enough to know where their kitchen is in their house? There's actually a couple of scenes where Betty is seen journaling in a notebook, and she always seems really jumpy when somebody comes in the room. The scene where Mrs. Cooper comes in with the sage, Betty, jumps and continues writing in her journal. There's a scene closer to the beginning when Mrs. Cooper and Mr. Cooper come in the room, and it's right after, Jason's body's been found, and they're talking about news articles, and people are going to be coming and traveling, and la-di-da-di-da. She actually closes her journal. So I'm really intrigued what she's actually journaling, but that will probably not be revealed until later. Also, Betty has a serious problem. Whatever she gets told, don't do this, she automatically goes and does it, with Archie and Veronica and Cheryl and all of that. And she even states to Archie, don't tell my mom we're friends again. Betty, what's wrong with you? Because there's so many things that happened in this episode where I literally was thinking, number one, there has to be something connected back to the medication that her mom got refilled for her in the first one. But the other thing is there has to be something going on, because you can literally see in scenes this switch turns on, and yeah. I did not know that Kevin Keller was a character from the comics. I don't really remember him if I do, but Kevin Keller is the sheriff's son. That scene where it gets revealed is just... Also, Mr. Weatherby, he appeared. I told you it wouldn't be long before he appeared. And all I have to say is he's a lot smarter and more intuitive than he was in the comics, because he's actually willing to, go and talk to Archie, and he notices little things, and I just really like it. I actually really like the actor who is portraying Mr. Weatherby. I think he just gives this presence that Mr. Weatherby never really had, even though he is more of a background character. Why do people allow Cheryl to do the things that she does? The scene where she interrupts the sheriff, why is she just allowed to do this? What hold does she have on all of these people? The issue between Archie and Jughead is revealed finally. They were supposed to go away July 4th weekend, and Archie bailed on Jughead, and we all know how that turned out. I like that Cheryl's friends are suspicious of her because of her July 4th story that she told, because let's be honest, all these other things that have appeared, i.e. the gunshot wound, does not click with what she has been telling as a story. So I think it's great, though, that it shows her friends are suspicious and not just going along with what she says and doing what they're supposed to do. But again, I'm glad somebody is at least, stepping up to plate to confront Cheryl, but they're just not that strong of a personality to fully confront her, like Veronica would. Also, the scene where Cheryl is kind of discussing about the fact that, this is the same thing that's taking place to Jason with the whole dissection of the frog thing, and then is doing the whole, cutting down the sternum of the frog while staring at the other people in the room. That's just wrong and creepy, and honestly, there are so many red flags going off about this girl that I could light an amusement park. So we know that Jason was tortured, but we don't know who tortured him, why he was tortured, or how long he was tortured. But we do know he was tortured. So at least we know that we can add that to the list of things that happened. Mrs. Cooper paid to see the corpse of Jason. Why? I also like the scene where Betty, Veronica, and Kevin are walking towards the table that Archie's at outside of the school for lunch. And this huge contrast between Betty and Veronica is really prominent here. You have Betty, who's in this classic pink style, and you have Veronica in this high-end classic black. And it just really shows the contrast, although they're keeping them in line with regards to the time that their characters were originally written to be in. Their style is kept to be very similar to that, but also reflect the personalities. Veronica's got a bit of a darker past to her. Betty's past is supposed to be beautiful and bright, just like her future is supposed to be. The scene where Archie goes to Ms. Grundy and he says, "If this isn't real, I don't know what I'm protecting." And she basically tells him straight up that it's real, but if he says anything, that there's nothing more that can happen to this. I don't think this just has to do with the fact that she could go to prison for sleeping with an underage student. I think that it has to do with something more. I feel like she's involved in something more other than that. But honestly, Ms. Grundy is really starting to get on my nerves because all she is thinking about is protecting herself when she got herself in this situation, and she's making Archie be the bad guy for it. Finally, Jughead found out about Archie and Ms. Grundy. Finally. You also know that Jughead is not going to just sit idly by. He will speak his mind, and I'm so happy that that actually happens. Cheryl keeps making everything about her, as I said, but the one thing that I do like is at the pep rally, Cheryl's friendship with Josie is shown. Now, Cheryl and Josie, I believe in the comics, were really good friends. And I was kind of still getting that vibe where she's like, "Oh, Josie and the Pussycats this, Josie and the Pussycats that." But the scene where she gets up on the stage and she hugs her, the way that they hugged was so comic book perfect. Because that's all I was seeing was the two of them actually in the comic book coming to life. Now, the one thing I'm confused about, though, is why did Cheryl have a mic? Was she going to sing with them? Was she supposed to give a speech? The other thing is, though, it was great to see her reaction to Archie because of the fact that Archie is wearing her brother's number. Archie's a redhead just like she and Jason are. It's just one of those situations where you have to think, honestly, when she has her freak out, that did not seem fake at all. And that's where I started to doubt that she could have had any involvement in her brother's murder. Most of the time, people we like don't even like us back. This is said by Veronica to Betty, and the only reason why I'm stating this is because I feel like this is hinting to her past. She is talking about Betty and Archie's situation currently. I also feel that this is speaking words of wisdom from Veronica's past. Again, I said, I feel like there's something going on in her past, be it her first love or, this guy she might have liked. What actually took place with that situation, but also this whole situation of liking someone and not having them like you back. There is a whole story that is in the background for Veronica, and I'm just waiting to find out more. This is a very similar case to all of the characters in the series. They all have these secretive pasts that I actually really want to know about, and I hope that they do tell more. Betty, why? Why would you go and get together with Cheryl? Why would you invite her to hang out with you? Why? I don't understand. You know, the scene where Cheryl basically has this outburst at Betty. I expected that. Betty standing up and basically saying to Cheryl, "Get out of my house or I'm going to kill you." That was freaky. And totally went on the side of, you know, there's something there. And then you find out that Polly is also in a group home in that situation, which I was very intrigued by. I thought that she was in a mental ward, but I guess she's in a group home. Where exactly is Polly? Because Mrs. Cooper always changes the subject when Betty starts asking where Polly is, or, you know, she wants to go and visit Polly. So there is something that Mrs. Cooper isn't telling Betty. The scene where Mrs. Lodge calls Veronica Ronnie, the feels I had in that moment. There were so many moments in this episode where I just felt so connected. Remember I said the Cheryl and Josie hug, the scene where Veronica gets called Ronnie. Archie mentions little Archie. Everything was right in this episode. Even the time that Archie is, you know, retelling the history of second grade. It was just so cute. I love how Jughead tells it straight to Archie, telling him that Miss Grundy is using him and that he should not just listen to her because she's trying to protect herself, first and foremost. He also reminds Archie of who he used to be before all of this took place, where his life almost just became shadows and secrets, as he refers in the first episode. The moment that Archie stands up to Reggie and defends Jughead was just perfect, and I knew in that moment that Archie was going to revert back to who he was, and he was going to start the wheels in motion for everything. But then reality hits in and Reggie actually knocks Archie unconscious, which pretty much makes sense. The scene where Archie actually sits down, well, he's sitting at the beginning of the scene anyway, if you want to get technical, and has the discussion with his dad. It's the same thing. Archie and Jughead's friendship, you know it's going to start mending because of this scene where it's kind of going to have a domino effect. It's going to start progressing things to the conclusion. And you know that Archie needs Jughead there with him, just like Jughead needs Archie. So Cheryl admitted to being guilty and got arrested. But I feel like almost she's protecting somebody because she was so vehement about getting the person that did this some justice for Jason. But I don't know necessarily if what she's doing, I really feel like there's something going on where she's protecting someone else. Because why else would she do this? Especially since she stated something along the lines of, he was supposed to come back. Like, Veronica's shocked with that phrase, as am I, which makes you realize, okay, there's something going on here. And I'm so excited in episode 3 to find out, hopefully they show the interrogation scene with Cheryl, what actually went down. Also, we also find out that Jason died 1 week after he was supposed to have died. What? What exactly is going on here, and what the heck did these twins have planned? Because there had to have been something. Again, the end song is perfect. The lines are, got so much to lose, got so much to do, don't let me lose my mind. Trouble on my left, trouble on my right. You just know that this is getting better and better. So before I go into my favorite quotes of the episode, because yes, I have even more this time, I first want to state I am loving these writers, and honestly, each and every one of them should be patting themselves on the back right now because they're doing a fabulous job. Number 2, everything is just so on point with this story and this series that I just don't know how they're going to make it better each episode, because every single one I watch, I feel like it's even better than the previous one, and I feel so lucky to be able to watch this TV series as it's airing. His bloated, waterlogged body, a corpse with a bullet hole in its forehead, and terrible secrets that could only be revealed by the cold steel blade of coroner's autopsy scalpel. or the telltale beating of a guilty heart. Sardonic humor is just my way of relating to the world. My twin tuition is telling me it's someone we know. I'm supposed to say yes. That's what the nice girl always says. But no, I'm not. I want to be. I thought I could be. But it's too much. Too fast. The weather's predicting a downpour the night of the pep rally, but already you're raining on my parade. With Jason still present in our collective consciousness, all eyes will be on me. Will this beautiful, exotic, hothouse flower drown under the town's scrutiny or be swamped by her emotions? The answer, ladies, is no and no. At least Cheryl's not putting on an act, pretending she's a butterfly when she's really a wasp. Romeo and Juliet are the exception, not the rule. Even though I just met Betty, I feel like we were meant to be best friends, like it was destiny. And now it's like there was this train that was heading to the rest of my life, and I just missed it. I kissed her, and I asked her to marry me. She was like, "Oh, little Archie, we're too young. Ask me when we're 18, and I'll say yes." I'm trying to be your friend here, even though we're not anymore. So I'm guessing she's the reason you've been acting weird this summer? One of them. One of them? There's more? What was it like, Suicide Squad, when you shot Jason? You didn't do stuff to the body, did you? Like, after? It's called necrophilia, Reggie. Can you spell it? We're not gonna hug in front of this whole town. So why don't we just do that bro thing where we just nod like douches and mutually suppress our emotions? Yeah, but as friends, right? To be discussed over many burgers and many days. To someone on the outside peering in, it would have looked like there were 4 people in that booth. But I was there, and I can tell you, really, there were only 3. A blonde girl, a raven-haired girl, and the luckiest red-headed boy in the universe. And for one shining moment, we were just kids in those bright neon lights at Pops, keeping the darkness at bay, giving way, as all nights must, to a morning of reckoning. As shocking as those 3 words were, they were nothing compared to the secrets that Jason's body had given up during its autopsy. That Jason didn't die on July 4th like we all believed, but over a week later.